To start off, I'm going to show a logo on the screen. Pretty famous logo, if I'd say so myself. You might recognize it. So raise your hand up, and don't be shy, guys. Raise your hand up if you recognize this logo. Yeah, so it's probably everybody here. I can see that, and including me. So the point is, this is quite a famous and popular logo, and you have probably seen it quite a few times. Maybe at parties, probably at the supermarket, or most likely at walks down the street. Now let's say I wanted to change it up a bit. It's looking quite ancient, not in touch with modern trends, you know. So a new logo would significantly do the company better, right? Right? Right. Okay, now there are a lot of problems with this supposed revamped design, but let's start off by saying it looks like it was designed in Adobe Illustrator in a matter of 5 seconds by a 5-year-old. Okay, but now let's get serious. I think we can all agree that a change like this is completely unfathomable. It just diminishes Coke's entire legacy in a matter of mere seconds. But this is a very much ongoing and recurrent trend within various industries and companies. A damaging trend, which sees these said companies and industries sacrificing their very own visual identity in order to attain a modern facade. This is ominously known as debranding. Now, debranding is a reductionist principle in which a specific piece of art or branding is reduced to its simplest configurations, completely reshaping its visual identity in order to attain minimalism. It's in the name. You are debranding and moving away from your brand in order to attain that said minimalism. Now, the theorized merits for debranding is that it significantly simplifies the company's profile to potential customers and target audiences in a way that removes any cluttery or messy elements, as you can see in the diagram above. But my question for you is today, has that really been effective in practice? Let us analyze with a real-world example, and the example I have for you all today is PayPal. Remember the iconic double P's in the logo, contrasted with the dark blue hues in the color schemes, make up for an iconic logo for a memorable brand used throughout our day-to-day life. Yeah, let's just strip that completely. Strip the iconic double P's that represented the company throughout the years. And instead, paste in the most basic black typography you could think of against a sky blue backdrop and call it a day. And yes, I'm serious. This is exactly what PayPal looks like in 2025. Okay, but what happened here? The logo got duller, of course. But what actually happened here? What were the set of decision-making processes that led to this final outcome? And what is its impact on a deeper level rather than aesthetic? To understand that, we must go back to the core, to the foundation of debranding itself, and that is how it was originated. So the main reason why brands and companies, more generally entire mainstream industries, have adopted debranding trends such as this is to stick out, to be different, and lastly, to be unique. Companies in the mid-2000s saw a huge change in their approach, where they would implement these debranding schemes in order to significantly simplify their profile for customers, as I said earlier, in a way that removes any messy or cluttery elements, while at the same time distinguishing themselves between the target audience. Now, all of this so far sounds like sunshine and rainbows, right? Right? And this time, I hate to tell you, but you're wrong. This trend has slowly started to see companies losing their very own self-identity while trying to compete in a diverse market. So while initially this trend was seen as a radical and unique thing, its prevalence in current times has resulted in these trends being seen as lackluster, completely opposite to the original intention of debranding.
That's unique. Nowadays, there's just little to nothing to distinguish at face value between these brands. Just take a look at these.
Sorry guys there. Nowadays, there's little to nothing unique to distinguish between these brands. And to give an example, just take a look at these notable fashion brands in the industry that you might recognize for some of you. But wait, these are their old logos. Do you want to see how they look like now? I hope that answers your question. In essence, nowadays, many companies have just simply lost the art of marketing and representation to what is minimalism. Picture this. Tropicana, the childhood fan favorite nostalgic juice brand, almost as famous for their juices as they are for their juice cartons itself. I mean, just look at this timeless and nostalgic design. So who would have thought they'd be rebranding when they announced something large in 2009? What they got instead was this. The old typography, gone. Engaging visuals, gone. Even a sliver of something memorable, absolutely devoid. What came instead? Looked something that was taken straight from a herbal medicine brand. In all seriousness, I could name probably up to 100 to 1,000 other companies that look layer for layer exactly like this one. So why did it happen? And just so you know, guys, this was regarded as one of the worst rebranding failures of the 21st century. But why did it happen? So when Tropicana made a rebrand later on and a focus group to assess what went wrong with the situation, the main idea, the main issue, was the complete disregard of the emotional connection of the design within the actual users. So I'm gonna get a bit nerdy here, as I tend to do, but when users interact with a product with liking for a prolonged period of time, they start to gain an emotional connection, an affinity with that product that truly sets the product apart in their hearts. So what happened here was that users had already gained that well-said emotional connection, that affinity with that iconic retro design of Tropicana, that they just wouldn't adapt to modern, minimalistic typographic trends. And frankly, I don't blame them. So in essence, when everyone in the market adopts minimalism to be unique, no one is truly unique. And brand identity becomes lost in a mainstream fog and extravaganza. But wait, at this point of the TED Talk, you might be getting the idea that so far I have been completely critical to the imposition of minimalist design within mainstream branding. I have been completely against it, right? However, I also have one other belief, in that both creativity and simplicity can exist co-effectively. Design in which minimalism is used towards leveraging brand identity in both visual identity and branding. This brings me to talk about one of my favorite examples of an actually good logo redesign. And keep your attention here, because this is Warner Bros. Comparing it with the prior design, which I actually think was outdated and was in need of some minor, scratch that, major revamps, I think this new redesign retains the shape, maintains the iconic typography of WB, all the while keeping it simple enough and minimalistic enough to be adopted in multimedia formats and films, such as so. So the main idea is that Warner Bros. Have continually sustained their identity within the film industry, all the while implementing debranding within their visual philosophy. And so ideally, if companies want to take note from debranding, ideally, if they want to see success within themselves, they need to find that unique selling point of branding that not only gives them uniqueness, but also enables them to reach further audiences through the clarity that debranding can provide. And so simply, this can just be done with more effective and thoughtful design, right? That's what you think. But an inverse way of achieving this is to adopt what's known as retro styling, in which the company will potentially take designs from the past, or inspiration from designs of the past, retro designs, as we call them, and revitalize and improve a bit, but mainly to keep its retro charm and nostalgic appeal. It sounds a bit counterintuitive at first, but honestly, the results speak for themselves, and I want all of you to see this. So I'm sure all of you know Burger King and Pizza Hut, two absolute fast food giants in history, and both have actually successfully embraced retro styling within their visual philosophy. So while Burger King has transposed their old logo from the past, but with more muted tones and muted colors to fit in with modern trends, Pizza Hut has permanently resettled with their old logo to relive the past, as they would say. In the end of the day, both logos are childishly simple, but ever so effectively and genuinely represent the respective company. So in general, when art styles and branding conform to standardized expectations, which was in this sense the mass minimalist movement becoming a societal norm, it, simply said, subdues creativity. However, I believe the key lies in understanding that minimalism doesn't always have to equate to blindness. Instead, minimalism can also serve as a canvas for creativity, allowing brands to express their identity within the market in a clear, free, and yet distinctive manner. And so the underlying message behind successful minimalism is not necessarily being unique or vastly different from what other brands have done or are already doing, but it's rather staying true to your own values. Maybe to stick out, be different, and be unique. You don't need to try being unique. Maybe all you gotta do is stay true to yourself. And bam, that's the reason why so many famous logos and successful companies are as successful and famous as they are. Being halfway through this decade, we see so many different brands and logos being broadcasted to us on a daily basis, and yet there is an innate reason why only a select few of these companies and brands really resonate with us. There is a reason why we can more vividly recall certain brands more than the others. And so while uniqueness is integral to be able to thrive in the marketplace, staying true to your values and being anchored to your purpose is ultimately the best fit in the long run. It can indeed be difficult to find that perfect harmony behind minimalism and integrity, but finding that sweet spot of branding can ultimately differentiate between failure and success. So I think this is really especially important for youths in educational settings such as this here in RCHK. We can perceive the amount of NGOs, startups, advocacy programs being set up by these youthful minds here not only in Hong Kong, but also on a worldwide level. Therefore, I think it's important that this youthful generation of thinkers take in essential lessons of integrity, design, uniqueness, all the while staying true to their core values and being unique to themselves. Because in the end of the day, we definitely take this over to this, right? And so credits to actually a LinkedIn guy who made this final closing quote, which I think is a perfect fit for concluding tonight's TED Talk. And it goes like this: a minimalist logo should be simple, but not simplistic. It should be memorable, but not boring. And it should be versatile, but not generic. Thank you for watching.